the tutorial question on part A first of chapter 4, which is on reproductive system. Okay, so for part A, for the first question, it says here, which of the following is true about asexual reproduction? Okay, so for asexual reproduction, as you know, it is a mode of reproduction where it only involves one parent, and the parent will undergo cell division, for example, binary fission, and then it produces two offspring that are genetically identical to the parent. So binary fission is one of the example of asexual reproduction. So you have several more. You have budding, for example. You have fragmentation followed by regeneration, and then you have partinogenesis. Okay. So those are the different types of asexual reproduction. So of the four statement here, you have to identify which is true for asexual reproduction. Obviously, for A, it does not involve fertilization. So because fertilization, it involves the sperm fertilizes the egg. So that is sexual reproduction. Okay. So obviously A is wrong. Slowest way of reproducing. So it is not the slowest way. It is the fastest way of reproducing. Okay. So why is it the fastest way? Because it is the most efficient way of reproducing. As I've mentioned, it only involves one parent. For sexual reproduction, it involves two parents. So one for an organism to be able to reproduce through sexual reproduction, they have to find mate. Okay, so that consumes time, and then they have to spend more energy, okay, to produce gamete, to find mate, and for fertilization to occur. So slowest way of reproducing is actually referring to sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is the fastest way of reproducing, okay, because it does not involve much energy spent, okay, to produce offspring, to produce gamete, to find mate, and to fertilize, okay, for fertilization to occur. So obviously statement B is wrong. Okay, so C, it puts animal at an evolutionary disadvantage in terms of variation. So this one, it is referring to genetic variation. Okay, genetic variation or genetic variability. Okay, variability. So for sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction, there is no genetic. Okay, there is no genetic variability. Okay, why? Because as I mentioned, the offspring is identical. Is genetically identical to the parent. So when the offspring is genetically identical, when you were to change the environment of that organism, okay, or so the organism will find it harder to adapt, okay, or they are more susceptible to infection by certain diseases. Okay, so that is why it is disadvantage for asexual reproduction. They have no genetic variation. Okay, so it is harder for them to adapt, and they are easily infected by infection. Okay, no genetic variation. So the answer will be C. Okay, so for statement D, it involves the exchange of genetic material between two individuals. Obviously correct lah, because in the formation of gametes such as sperm and eggs, it undergoes meiosis, kan? So meiosis involve exchange of genetic material during synapses, kan? And then there is random fertilization. You have millions of sperm that only one is required to fertilize the egg, kan? So every sperm will carry different combination of genetic composition. Okay, so for sexual reproduction, they have more genetic variation. Okay, so they easily adapted to changing environment. Okay. So the answer for number one would be C. Okay. So next, how do Hydra reproduce? So Hydra, they reproduce through asexual reproduction. Okay. So which one? It is budding. Okay. So budding. So budding for Hydra that undergoes budding, the parent will produce buds, kan? So the bud will either remain attached to the initial parent, or the buds will detach and develop into offspring. Okay, so other example that of organism that undergoes budding, you have cnidarians, okay, and also sponges. Okay, kalau binary fission, Partinogenesis and fragmentation, they are also asexual reproduction. Okay, for binary fission, the organism that undergoes binary fission, you have bacteria, okay, or unicellular eukaryotes. Okay, unicellular eukaryotes such as amoeba. Okay, so for Partinogenesis, for example, the organism that undergoes Partinogenesis, you have the honeybee. Okay, so the honeybee will undergo Partinogenesis, where it develop or it produces offspring that is haploid. Okay, so for organism that undergoes Partinogenesis, there are certain situation or condition that requires the organism to undergo Partinogenesis, such as, for example, the honeybee honeybee, when the queens, okay, the produces the egg, okay, so the egg will either be fertilized by sperm, okay, so that is sexual reproduction, to produce the female worker. So the female worker will be diploid, okay, so female worker will be diploid to end, okay, female worker to end. As for the male, okay, so when the egg is not fertilized and developed into a haploid individual, okay, so that will become the male, the drone, askar yang mengawal koloni B tu. Okay, so you have to know the differences. Okay, so another type of organism that undergo Partenogenesis, you have the lizard. Okay, so certain species of lizard, where in the population of that lizard there is no male. Okay, there is no male, and then but mating rituals still occur. Okay, so you have two female. Okay, two female that undergo mating ritual, so they mate, but they will take different role. Okay, so one female will become the male and the other will become the female. So this mating ritual is to induce the production and secretion of hormones. Okay, kalau estrogen is to induce female role, kalau male progesterone. So this is to induce ovulation to occur. So when ovulation occurs, eggs will be released. Okay, so this will become the offspring, which is haploid. Okay, so dia akan take turn lah. So one female will become the male to induce the female, and then dia akan rotate. So yang male tu tadi akan jadi female, yang female jadi male. Macam tu lah kan. So both will eventually ovulate to produce eggs. Okay, so that is Partenogenesis. So for Partenogenesis, the individual is developed from unfertilized egg. Okay, unfertilized egg. So the individual will be haploid instead of, kalau sexual, is diploid organism. Okay, so diploid, ingat diploid to end. Okay, haploid end. Okay, so fragmentation and regeneration. So fragmentation, for example, common example is for flatworms lah. Okay, flatworms. So flatworms, bila jumpa flatworms kan, orang geli, potong dia, cincang dia. Instead of hoping for the flatworm to die, you produce more flatworms. Okay, so they akan so the head part will generate the mid piece and the tail. The mid piece will generate the head and the tail. The tail will generate the mid piece and the head. So dapat lagi banyak lah, macam tu. Okay, so ini bila awak nampak ada slash ni, so slash tu bukan maksudnya ataupun so slash tu maksudnya kat sini the organism will undergo fragmentation followed by regeneration. It generate the missing piece. Okay, so kalau ada kepala je, dia akan generate mid piece and also the tail. Macam tu lah. Okay, so C, what is hermaphroditism? So hermaphroditism is an organism where is a condition where an organism will have both male and female reproductive system. Okay, so when that organism have both male and female reproductive system, it can produce both sperm and eggs. So because it can produce its own sperm and eggs, it can undergo self-fertilization. Sekejap. Okay, fertilization. Okay, fertilization. So, so the individual is capable of producing its own offspring. So this is advantageous for animals that are living alone, such as parasite in the intestine of animal. Okay, for burrowing worms. Okay, so worms can also undergo self-fertilization. Okay, so here if you look at the statement for A, it only involves one parent. So ini statement ni macam betul, tapi kita tengok statement yang lain. Sebab kalau hermaphroditism, okay, because it undergoes self-fertilization, it involves the sperm fertilizes the egg, it falls under sexual reproduction. Ingat hermaphroditism walaupun one parent, it falls under sexual reproduction. Okay. So kita KIV itu dulu sebab statement tu macam betul, tapi kita tengok ada tak statement yang lebih tepat. So not capable of self-fertilization, salah lah kan, sebab tadi saya cakap ada self-fertilization. So wrong. Okay. So C, the body breaks into several pieces, not correct, because this one it is referring to fragmentation and regeneration. Okay, fragmentation and regeneration. So statement D, the presence of both male and female organs in an organism. So this one is the much accurate statement. Okay, so the answer will be D. Okay. So number 4, external fertilization occurs in which of these animal? So external fertilization, you have to remember, it only involves organism that lives in aquatic environment. Okay, external fertilization cannot occur for animals that lives on land, terrestrial animal. Okay, so if you look at the choices here, so which of these animal lives in the aquatic environment? So obviously the frog, okay, frog lives in aquatic environment, and also salmon. Okay, so snake are terrestrial animals. It lives on land. Okay, so snake will be wrong lah. So number 2 wrong, number 2 wrong, number 2 wrong. Okay, so the answer will be B. Okay, so salmon, it undergoes external fertilization. Same goes to frogs. Okay, so if you look at your notes, when frogs are mating, they are in the amphilexis position. Okay, amphilexis position, where in that position, the female will be stimulated to release the egg into the water. Okay, so as soon as the female releases the egg, the male will release the sperm. Okay, so the sperm will fertilize the egg. Kalau male, dia tak boleh nak release egg dulu sebab apa? Sebab kalau dia release egg dulu, kalau male releases the sperm dulu, baru nak release egg, so there's no fertilization will occur because the sperm will swim away first, okay, before the eggs will be released. Okay, so the answer will be B lah. Okay, so frog and also salmon. So number 5. Okay, so for number 5 here, it says here, the eggs are produced inside the body and then give birth to live young. Okay, this is called as ovoviviparous. So for ovoviviparous, it involves eggs, okay, that is retained within the mother's body, and then once the eggs is ready, the young will hatch inside of the mother's body and it will come out like a live birth. Dia macam viviparous lah. Kalau orang tak tahu, dia macam viviparous, tapi sebenarnya dia adalah ovoviviparous. Okay, so kalau viviparous, so the answer will be D lah. Okay, for organism that undergoes viviparous, so these are organisms that have uterus. Okay, they have uterus, and then the baby develops inside of the mother's uterus. Okay, it depends on the nutrition from the placenta. And then when the baby is ready, okay, so it will come out through the normal through birth lah. Okay, birthing. Okay, So this is for example, you have the mammals. Okay, mammals undergo they are viviparous animal, and then for oviparous, those are for animals that produces egg. Okay, they lay egg, and the egg is hatched outside of the mother's body. For both oviparous and ovoviviparous, the embryo depends on the egg yolk. Okay, for the nutrition. Okay. Kalau viviparous depends on the placenta, okay, for to provide nutrition. So for all these three mechanisms, okay, so these are for animals that practice internal fertilization. Sorry. Sorry tak. Kalau oviparous, dia boleh dua. Okay, external and also internal fertilization. Kalau katak tu is also oviparous. Okay, kalau so depends on the organism lah. Kalau birds, chicken, so they practice internal fertilization. Okay. Tapi kalau viviparous, ovoviviparous, so it is internal fertilization. Okay, so for all these three mechanisms, so they are known as strategies of embryonic development. Strategies of embryonic development. Okay, macam mana embryo tu develop? Okay, cara macam mana? Telur ke, telur dalam badan ke, ataupun dalam uterus ke lepas tu beranak. So this is strategies of embryonic development. Okay. So jangan confuse bila soalan tanya the stages of embryonic development. Stages of embryonic development is you explain for pregnancy. Kan? So kalau pregnancy is stages. Stages of embryonic development. Sama tak? Dia punya term tu nampak macam sama je. Tapi tengok keyword dia. Ini stages kan? Stages. Ini strategies. Okay, stages of embryonic development. You have fertilization, and then after fertilization you have cleavage kan? So sperm fertilizes the egg, produces zygote. Okay, so it divides into 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell, 16, 32, and then it forms morula kan? And then it forms blastocyst, and then that is cleavage kan? So after blastocyst is formed, and then implantation. After implantation you have gastrulation. Okay, gastrulation is when the blastocyst develop okay 3 germ layers of tissues. Okay, 3 germ layers of tissues. You have the ectoderm, bahagian lapisan luar, mesoderm, bahagian tengah, endoderm, bahagian dalam. Okay, so all these different tissues, layers of tissues will develop the organism. So kalau ectoderm, bahagian lapisan luar kan. Okay, ectoderm will develop into nervous system and also the epidermis of the skin. Okay, the mesoderm, bahagian dalam, bahagian tengah. Okay, mesoderm will develop most of your organs. Okay, and then you have the endoderm. Okay, endoderm, it develops the lining of the organs. Lining of the organs lah, the lining of the organs. So that is gastrulation. Okay, stage gastrulation. Okay, after gastrulation is organogenesis. Okay, so these are stages of embryonic development. Okay. Masuk lagi satu, kita ada apa? Phases of pregnancy kan. Kita ada first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. So you have to really carefully read the question. Soalan tu dia nak apa? Okay, strategies ataupun stages. Okay, and then okay, number 6. Are mammals that lay eggs. Okay, so mammals kebanyakan dia the embryo will develop inside the uterus, and when the baby is mature, okay, baby is ready, so dia akan so mother will give birth lah. Alright. So but there is still example of mammals that can produce egg, that lay eggs. So this one is monotremes. Okay, so monotremes. So examples of monotremes, you have the platypus and also spiny anteaters. Okay, so those are example of monotremes. Those are mammals that can lay eggs. So because they are mammals, okay, so the baby will depend on the milk produced by the mother. Tapi mother of the platypus or spiny anteaters, they don't have nipples. The milk just oozes out of the mother's ventral surface. Macam itulah, okay. So yang ini kalau eutherian, marsupial, monotremes is the different ways of how mammals develop the baby. Okay, embryonic development juga, but for mammals. Okay, for mammals. Okay. So kalau eutherians, humans kan, marsupial is for animals that have pouch. Okay, so for animals that have pouch, they will give birth to baby that is still fragile. Okay, so the baby needs to mature inside the mother's pouch. In there you have the nipple where the baby can suckle for milk. Okay, so for example, for of marsupial, you have Tasmanian devils. Okay, Tasmanian devils ataupun kangaroos. Okay, so kangaroos is example of marsupial. Okay. So number 7, which of the following represent the correct order of spermatozoa passes through male reproductive system during ejaculation? So correct order, okay. So you have to know, okay, where in the first place is spermatozoa produced. Okay, so the spermatozoa is produced inside the testis. Okay, inside the testis you have the seminiferous tubule. Okay, so you have many seminiferous tubule that are tightly coiled. Okay, so the sperm will be produced through the process of spermatogenesis. Okay, so obviously statement C and D is wrong lah, kan, sebab dia tak start dengan vas deferens. It has to start with testis or testis lah. Okay, where you have the seminiferous tubule. Next, so you have to determine which one is first. Is it epididymis or vas deferens? Okay, so once sperm is produced, okay, this sperm, the spermatozoa has not yet fully developed. Okay, it is not mature yet. It does not have the ability to swim yet. Okay, so this sperm cell has to be stored inside a structure where the sperm will be stored and gain the ability to swim. So this is the place we call it as the epididymis. Okay, so epididymis is the next saluran lah, kan, saluran dia. So epididymis. So obviously A is not correct. Okay, so after epididymis you have the long vas deferens that collects all the secretion from all the three accessory glands of male. Kan, you have the prostate gland, you have the bulbolateral gland, you have the prostate, bulbolateral, and the other one is seminal vesicle. Okay, so those different glands produces different secretion that have its own function, and then produces semen. Okay, so semen is the combination for the three secretion of the three glands and also the sperm. So it produces the semen that travels through the vas deferens and then enters into the urethra. So urethra is the duct, okay, that conveys either semen or urine lah at different times. Okay, so the answer will be B. Okay, so number 8, choose the correct statement. Okay, correct statement. So kita tengok one by one lah. So for statement A, LH stimulate pituitary gland to produce testosterone. So kalau kita tengok kat dekat statement Statement yang pertama ni, LH is both, okay, male is also capable of producing luteinizing hormone and FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Bukan male sahaja. Bukan female sahaja. Male is also capable of producing these two hormones, LH and also FSH. Both of these two hormones are produced, okay, by the pituitary gland. Okay, pituitary gland. To be specific, by the anterior pituitary gland. So statement A ni salah lah, nombor satu ni kan. Stimulate. LH does not stimulate pituitary gland. Pituitary gland secretes the LH. Okay. Anterior pituitary gland secretes LH, which stimulate, okay, Leydig cell to produce testosterone. So statement yang buat dia salah adalah daripada perkataan stimulate ni. Okay. So LH is produced by the pituitary gland, which stimulates Leydig cell to produce testosterone. So Leydig cell, the location of the Leydig cell is in between. It is in the tissues. Okay, in between the seminiferous tubule. Okay. As for so statement number one is wrong. Okay. So kita tengok number one salah. So B and D is not the answer, obviously. So that leaves with A and C. Okay. So kita tengok statement yang kedua. FSH acts on the Sertoli cell to stimulate sperm production. Okay. So is the statement correct or not? So sebab dia ada kat dua-dua choices ni. So betul lah. Sorry. Bukan, ni, dua-dua choices ni. Nombor 2, okay. So FSH, okay, is secreted by the anterior pituitary, which stimulates Sertoli cell to produce protein that will concentrate testosterone, and also to nourish sperm, okay, and also to nourish sperm. So these all together will stimulate sperm production. Okay, so ingat ya, LH stimulate Leydig cell. Okay, L ni, Leydig. FSH ada S is for Sertoli. Okay, it stimulates the Sertoli cell to nourish sperm and also to produce protein to concentrate testosterone. Okay, so statement number 2 is correct. Number 3 is supposed to be correct jugalah sebab dia ada kat dua-dua kan. So inhibin act on the anterior pituitary gland to produce FSH, to reduce FSH secretion. Inhibin is produced by the Sertoli cell, okay, when the sperm count is high. Okay, so when there's too much sperm, at one point the sperm production has to stop for a while. Okay, so in order to stop the sperm production, Sertoli cell will secrete inhibin that will give negative feedback to the anterior pituitary gland. So when anterior pituitary gland is applied that negative feedback, so effect dia apa? FSH dengan LH secretion will be reduced. So when these two hormones are reduced, so altogether testosterone production is reduced, sperm production will be reduced. Okay. So statement number 3 is correct. Number 4, okay, so kita nak menentukan sama ada A ataupun C jawapan dia. Testosterone is responsible in the development of male reproductive tissues. So betul lah kan. So testosterone involved in the development of primary and secondary male sex characteristics. Okay. So obviously it involves in the male reproductive tissues development lah, the development of testes. Okay. In order to be able to produce sperm. Okay. So the answer for number 4 is correct. Okay, C. So number 9, which of the following does not belong to the to the female reproductive system? Okay, female reproductive system. Obviously the answer will be D lah. So D tadi apa? Tempat storage of sperm to gain the ability to swim. Okay, so cervix, uterus and ovaries is the female reproductive system. Okay, so cervix yang pintu rahim tu lah. So you when you are about to give birth, okay, so the cervix will dilate up to 10 centimeters, okay, ready for expulsion. So stages of apa? Stages of gestation. Gestation tu apa? Gestation tu process of labor. Ingat istilah tu. Gestation is the process of labor. Okay, labor tu ada 3 stage kan. So kita ada 3 stage tu apa? 3 stage dia? The 3 stages of gestation or labor or parturition. So istilah tu sama process of labor, istilah yang kita boleh guna adalah parturition, gestation and also bukan. Gestation tu proses pregnancy. Okay. Sekejap saya check. Pula dalam ni. So tak. So ignore je lah istilah gestation tapi ada. Okay. So basically the process of labor giving birth is parturition. Okay. So parturition ada tiga stage which is dilation, expulsion and delivery of placenta. So ingat pregnancy tu. So pregnancy ada 3 stage. Dilation up to 10 centimeters. So you are going to make sure that the cervix dilate up to 10 centimeters. Okay. In order to be for the head of the baby to be able to come out. Okay. And then expulsion is the full dilation of the cervix where the baby will pass through the cervix and through the vagina to be delivered. Okay, and then after the baby has come out is the delivery of the placenta. Okay, so stage yang paling lama is actually the dilation stage. So that is the most paling penat lah kat situ. Okay. So uterus is where the baby will develop, okay, and then the ovary is for the production of female sex hormone, estrogen and progesterone, and where the secondary oocyte will be produced. Okay, the follicles containing the oocyte will develop into secondary oocyte to be released during ovulation. So that is the function basically for the 3 structure or organs of the female reproductive system. So for the last part is epithelial inner lining of digestive. It says here epithelial inner lining of digestive, respiratory and reproductive system arise. Okay. From which of the primary germ layer? So this is in the as I mentioned in the gastrulation stage. Okay, gastrulation stage of embryonic development. Okay, where the blastocysts develop the 3 germ layers. You have the bahagian dalam ectoderm, tengah mesoderm, endoderm bahagian dalam. Okay. So dia kata keyword kat sini adalah inner lining of each of the system here, the organs of each of this system. So obviously the lining will be produced from the endoderm layer. Okay. For the development of many organs is from the mesoderm. Kalau ectoderm, nervous system, okay, and also the epidermis of the skin. So kena tahu untuk tiga-tiga ni dia akan develop jadi apa. Itu mesti kena tahu. Okay. So this is during gastrulation of embryonic development. Okay. Especially for human lah. Okay. So that's the end of part A for reproductive system. So next, okay, saya stop dulu.